Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest. Just imagine for a second that one of the shares in your portfolio increases by 1,310% in just 2 days. Now, this sort of thing has never happened to me before, and more than likely will never happen to me in the future. Yet, there more than likely is a few shareholders who have seen this exact thing happen to one of the companies in their portfolio. Yes, there is a company on the ASX who have seen their share price rise 1,310% in 2 days on the back of an announcement. Now, whether this announcement deserves such a meteoric rise is open up to debate. So I'm going to discuss this company in this video. And not only that, there has actually been a flow-on effect into another company on the ASX. And it should be no surprise that these two companies, and these are two out of the three best performing companies on July 4, have the exact same word in their company name. And the company I am actually discussing, I'll also briefly mention the other company that has seen a pretty big price rise on July 4. But the company I'm really going to focus on in today's video is called Lumos Diagnostics. The share price of this company has risen 1,310% in 2 days on the back of a pretty good announcement. But again, whether this announcement deserves such a huge price rise remains to be seen. And I think one of the things that is happening right now is day traders. Day traders have absolutely fallen in love, not only with this company, but also that other company. So I'm going to touch upon the particular announcement that has caused such excitement in this company, and also actually have a look at the March quarter Appendix 4C for Lumos Diagnostics. Now, this particular price rise, 1,310% in 2 days, is quite impressive. But the market cap of Lumos Diagnostics has increased by only $45 million because beforehand, the market cap of Lumos Diagnostics was only $3 million. So this company was not beloved by the market. In fact, it was the exact opposite. And we'll have a look at the long-term chart for this company from when they list on the ASX, and the share price of Lumos Diagnostics was about $1.40 2 years ago. So in fact, the share price fell from $1.40 all the way to a low of 1 cent. So even though this has been an amazing ride for Lumos Diagnostics and shareholders, the share price is still well below the record high for the company. So here is the announcement that has caused a lot of excitement in the market around this company, Lumos Diagnostics. It's just FDA clearance for one of their products. And you will see this a lot. Quite often, whenever the FDA does clear a company's products, there's going to be a lot of excitement around that company. I've seen share prices of companies I've owned increase 100, 150% in one day. So this is the sort of announcement I'm always looking for. Now, a few interesting things about this particular FDA clearance. Now, it's in regards to their product called February DX, which is a rapid point-of-care test for the diagnosis of bacterial acute respiratory infection and differentiation from non-bacterial etiology in patients presenting in urgent care or emergency care settings. And the very important point here is this product has already been cleared in about 20 markets, or even registered in 20 markets. So the UK, Europe, Canada, UAE, Brazil, Turkey, Pakistan, Singapore, Malaysia, and Australia. So this is not the initial clearance of this product. So I'm not exactly sure why the market is getting very excited, because they're already selling this product in many locations around the world. But for some reason, the market investors love to read FDA clearance. This particular slide I did find in one of Lumos Diagnostics' presentations to the market, released about 6 months ago. And I'm showing the photo here is of the device of February DX, which does look fairly similar to a COVID-19 test I took or have taken. I've taken one. And maybe all point-of-care tests look very similar to this device. Anyway, they do mention in this particular slide that following pre-sub meeting, planning to file second F10K with FDA during calendar year 2023 with less broad claims. and they are actively developing sales and partnering opportunities for February DX in cleared or pending markets. Now, the first thing that should be understood when it comes to Lumos Diagnostics is this company is not profitable. In fact, in the most recent quarter, they received $1.1 million of receipts. Now, these receipts, these numbers are in US dollars. They also mentioned they had about $2 million in revenue, but they are spending a fair bit of money. In fact, $1.3 million on staff costs, almost $1 million on administration and corporate costs, $582,000 on product manufacturing and operating costs, and $772,000 on service delivery and research development. So this company is burning through a lot of cash. In fact, in this particular quarter, they burned through almost $3 million of cash. And in the first 9 months of the year, they burned through $8.8 million. And that means this company is struggling to get cash. And they will need more and more cash unless they become free cash flow positive. And a way they have achieved or increased their cash on hand is actually by selling some of the equipment and then leasing that equipment back, which I do find quite interesting. And these are some of their highlights from the third quarter. I've already mentioned unaudited revenue of $2 million, which is not all that different from the second quarter. Cash usage for the quarter was $3.2 million, averaging about $1.1 million per month. And they do mention here sale and leaseback agreement completed with Hologic, providing $4.2 million of funding. So it does look like they're very resistant from going down the capital raising path, which makes sense. Because more than likely, when they did release the Appendix 4C for the March quarter, the market cap of the company would have been fairly low, say $5 million, which means if they did do a capital raising, that would highly dilute shareholders. So they decided just to sell their leases or their equipment and then lease that back from Hologic. They also had a settlement of tranche 1 of the convertible notes completed, providing $2.6 million of extra funding as well. And the cash balance at the end of the March quarter was $4.3 million. So they really needed that $6.8 million of cash through the convertible note and that sale and leaseback agreement. So I've already mentioned that when this company did list on the ASX back in the middle of 2021, the share price reached a high of almost $1.40, and it's been downwards ever since then. In fact, it's gone from $1.40 all the way down to a low of 1 cent. So this is not a good looking chart. So even though the share price has risen by 1,310%, it's still well away from the all-time high. So there might be still some shareholders out there in Lumos Diagnostics that are in the red, and fairly significant in the red as well, because if anyone partook in the IPO and bought shares, say at $1.20, they're still down about 90%. So even though it's been a good 2-day run, there's still going to be a little bit of resistance. Now, the major thing here is the last time the share price was this high, around 15 cents, was actually in June 2022. So we are talking about a 1-year high. So that is a positive moving forward. The share price was just going sideways before this release. And the other positive thing is the massive volume, huge volume coming in. But I think one of the reasons we are seeing huge volume coming in is because of day traders. And I'm always wary when day traders find their next plaything. And I have no doubt that Lumos Diagnostics is a current day trading plaything. This is the trading history for Lumos Diagnostics going back to the 13th of June. A few things to note here is the volume. So before the 3rd of July, the typical volume per day traded was between about 500,000 and just above 2 million. But on the 3rd of July, this company had 248 million shares traded. On the 4th of July, a further 206 million shares traded. Now, overall, this company has 309 million shares on issue, which means in the last 2 days, there have been significantly more shares traded in this company than they have on issue. And that's another reason I think this is just a plaything right now for day traders, because there's been a large turnover. Another thing to note here is the share price low for this company was 1 cent. And 1 cent was reached the 2 days prior to this announcement. Just imagine, just like I said at the beginning of this video, just imagine you were a holder of this company and you have seen a 1,000 or above 1,000 share price rise in your company. Just imagine you sold your shares in Lumos Diagnostics on the 30th of June at 1 cent. And then you saw what happened the next 2 days. So just imagine that before you feel anything for those shareholders who have gone on this magical ride. Another thing I like to do is just look at really short-term charts. And this is the 1-minute chart for Lumos Diagnostics. And when you look at the 1-minute chart, it's still in an uptrend. And this is actually a beautiful short-term uptrend. Share price actually opened on the 3rd of July at around about 3.5 to 4 cents, something in that range. And the share price has just kept on going up. The largest volume, apart from on opening on the 3rd of July, was towards the end of closing or end of trading on the 3rd and the beginning of trading on the 4th. But even though volume has dried up a little bit during the 4th, we're still seeing the share price go up. Now, there was a little bit of selling towards the end of trading on the 4th. Share price did get to a high of 17.5 cents. But eventually, I would expect, because a lot of day traders are in this company right now, I would expect a significant correction in the share price. It could drop to, say, 10 cents, even lower than 10 cents, but it just needs that sort of correction at some point in the next few days just to get all those day traders out. Now, that does not mean all the day traders will leave, because there is a possibility you're going to see a lot of volatility in Lumos Diagnostics moving forward. And day traders love volatility. They will play volatility until the cows come home. I've already mentioned there was another company that did see a bit of a rise in the share price because of what happened with Lumos Diagnostics. And that company was Atomo Diagnostics, the ticker code AT1. And both these companies were the second and third best performing companies on the ASX on the 4th of July, just behind a company called Right Crowd. I think Right Crowd sold something of their business, and that's why their share price rise by a significant amount. But Atomo Diagnostics, in fact, their share price closed at about 8.3 cents, up over 130% on the 4th of July. And actually is a reason behind why Atomo Diagnostics share price has risen by a significant amount. And the company, I believe, did receive a query from the ASX why the share price was rising by a significant amount. So let's have a look at Atomo Diagnostics' response to that query. Now, I'm actually not sure if this was a query from the ASX or just Atomo got ahead of the possible query they're going to get from the ASX, because this is not the usual wording you see. Usually it's a response to ASX price and volume query or something like this, but they've just titled it Price Movement Clarification. They actually say they're not aware of any information that has not been announced to the market, which, if by known by some in the market, could explain the recent trading in its security. But it did say here that Lumos Diagnostics, Atomo's partner, which is very important here, announced to the market that announcement we've already talked about. And it also mentions here that Atomo is a critical supplier to Lumos for this approved product. It is possible that the price movement in Atomo could be attributed to LDX's announcement. And I think that's probably not the right wording. They probably should have said it is possible. They probably should have said it is most likely that the price movement in Atomo is attributable to LDX's announcement. And the share price of Atomo did close at 8.3 cents, so up 131% for the day. And the other thing was the massive volume coming in. So this is the trading history for Atomo going back the last 10 days. And typically, the volume of shares traded in this company is less than 1 million per day. And then on the 3rd of July, we saw 4.6 million shares traded. Share price rose 63.6%. But today, on the 4th of July, 108.7 million shares. So not only have we seen day traders coming in playing the Lumos Diagnostics, more than likely they have now spread and are playing with Atomo Diagnostics as well. And that's all I have for this look at one company whose share price rose 1,310% in just 2 days. Congratulations to shareholders, particularly those shareholders who've held on during that period, because they have seen their value of their Lumos Diagnostics shares increase by 1,310% in 2 days. I do feel a little bit sorry for those shareholders who sold the day before at 1 cent. They're probably kicking themselves right now, if not doing worse things. Anyway, if you have any questions about Lumos Diagnostics, if you are a shareholder of this company, I'd love to hear what you think and what you are thinking about doing with your shares. So leave your thoughts in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I am not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.